Hello everyone and welcome to another comic book video. My name is Michael and today I'm actually just going to provide a little more of an introductory type video. I know the one from last week was more about Star Wars and I wanted to get that one out because of May the 4th. But this week I decided just to do something that's a little more introductory and just kind of discuss a little about comic books and some of the terms and stuff you hear used when talking about comic books. So one of the first things I want to talk about today is what is called keys or key issues. Key issues are pretty much an issue where something important happens in the issue. It somewhat differs from other issues. A key issue can be a first appearance of a character, a death of a character, costume change. It can also mean certain types of artwork, depending on who the artist is. That can be considered a key issue. I have an example here of a basic key issue. This is Avengers 19. This is a Silver Age key. It has the first appearance of Swordsman. So this we consider what we consider more of a minor key of what are called major keys and minor keys. Major keys are like the really big first appearances of some of the big popular characters like Detective Comics 27 with first appearance of Batman, X-Men #1, first appearance of the X-Men and Magneto. This one's more of a minor key because Swordsman, while he actually does join the Avengers or something, he has not been a very prominent figure in the Marvel Comics. So this we consider a minor key, but this is a key issue just because this does have his first appearance. I also wanted to mention too that you may end up hearing sometimes people talk about graded and slabbed comics. And what they mean by that is something like this. What graded and slabbed comics are is there are 3 companies in the United States who do professional grading. So what you do is you'll send the comics to them, they'll look it over, they will grade them, they will assign a grade, and then they will encapsulate them in this to serve as protection from the comic to make sure it doesn't get damaged or dirty. The grading system starts with NG, which means no grade, which is kind of like a 0, and goes all the way up to 10. And it goes up in a range of 0.5, so it originally starts off with 0.51, 1.52. It does that all the way until it gets up to 9, and after that it goes up by 0.2, so 9.2, 9.4, and after you reach 9.8 it goes up to 9.9 and then 10. 9.9s and 10 graded comics are extremely rare. I've never seen one in person. I've only seen some of them when they come up for auctions, but they're pretty rare, so usually the highest you go is a 9.8. This one's a 7.5, but this is also a key issue as well. This has the very first full appearance of King Cole. That issue there. And just to also differentiate too, when someone says graded, they mean something like this. When someone says ungraded or raw, they mean something like this, because this is not in a holder. This is just, now if you look at the back on here, it does have a grade, but this is considered a more subjective grade, while this is considered, this has been more professionally graded and has been encapsulated. So when anyone talks about graded comics or slab, they mean this. Now I also want to talk to you briefly about variants. So what variant comics are pretty much variant comics are comics that have some type of difference between what would be the main comic that comes out and other preceding comics that may have something different about them. The way one site I look at describes it says comic books printed with different covers. That's usually the main way people think about variant covers. I have an example. This is actually Batman 50. Now this is the main cover. This would have had the larger print done with this cover that would have been sold at comic book shops, but there were also variant covers made. In fact, if I remember correctly, I think they said there's well over 50, maybe up to 100 different covers that were issued for this issue. So this is just the main cover. Meanwhile, this is actually a same issue, issue 50, but this is a different cover. This actually has a cover by Jim Lee, a very famous artist. And so while the story inside's the same, the covers are actually different. So if you hear anyone talk about variant covers, they usually mean a comic book that has a different artist and a different cover. I also briefly wanted to cover the differences between what are called graphic novels and trade paperbacks or trade hardcovers. This will be considered a trade hardcover. Trade hardcovers are usually just reprints of comic books. So usually they were first printed in a comic book, and then later on they're collected and put into either trade paperback or a trade hardcover volume like this. For instance, this actually has reprints of some of Iron Man's original early appearances. So this is just reprints. While with a graphic novel would be something more along the lines of this. A graphic novel usually has original material. It also tends to be more of a standalone story, and it's actually considered more of a novel because it tends to be somewhat longer. It's just usually in a comic book format. So when they talk about graphic novels, they mean something like this, which is a standalone story, and when they mean anything like a trade paperback, they mean something like this, which is mostly just reprints. So I just wanted today just to go over some of these really basic terms and ideas that you'll be hearing me talk about through the upcoming videos. My plan right now is starting next week to start doing videos talking about the history of comic books, looking at the different time periods. For instance, we'll be talking about the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, the Copper Age, and the Modern Age. And I'm going to go through those different videos and just talk a little about what was happening in those time periods in the world of the comics, show some examples, and just give you some history and background of comic books. So I thank you for watching this video, and if you like it, just go ahead and hit the like on the screen there, and thank you. Have a nice day.